We're going to start with basketball today.
Uh-oh.
So do you think Nebraska is going to land any former in-state high school basketball players from the portal?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. There are plenty of competition for the guys they've had on campus. Frankie Fiddler, William Kyle,
Okay.
both obviously visited,
Okay.
had very good visits, but are also now taking other visits. Right after Frankie Fiddler was here, we saw Creighton before, went to Wisconsin the day after his trip to Lincoln. And I think he's got at least another visit or two scheduled after the dead period here at the end of the week. So to be determined on that one. I think that Nebraska's in a good spot with him. It's just a matter of, what's he going to prioritize when it comes down to, is it going to be fit? Is it going to be, reuniting with people or whatever it is? We'll see on that. And then William Kyle, he's going to visit Iowa State, I believe, after this weekend, after the dead period. He's a player that's got a lot of interest as well. When UConn calls you, you listen. And I don't know how serious that recruitment is, but he has a multitude of options. But according to On3's Jamie Shaw on Tuesday, what he's been hearing is that Nebraska is a school that keeps popping up when he's asking about William Kyle. So seems like both of those situations are trending in the right direction, but visits to come that will ultimately determine that more.
You guys like my analogies, right? The Summit League, you know what it's become? It's like the USHL in hockey, like the Lincoln Stars and Omaha Lancers. Yep. And they develop the player, and then they go to like a major school. The Summit League is like that right now. It's amazing to see these guys that are at like the Dakota schools and UNO. They develop there, and then they get opportunities to go to these. It's unreal. I mean,
and they're good. They're good
This
players.
is something, I know it's not been good for the little guy, but NIL has changed college basketball for the good, in the sense that it's eliminated the power of the shoe companies, and it's allowed more people
Never thought of
to
that.
get power and involved.
Sean, that's a really good point. It's a really good point.
But if you're a coach with a program that doesn't have NIL, you hate it.
Well, you hate
You got
it.
your own shoe company.
You hate it, but I mean, you still, for instance, Andrew Morgan, the North Dakota State player who's transferring to Nebraska. They had him for 3 years, right? They got him for 3 years. The player at Alabama, is it Grant Nelson?
Grant Nelson.
They had him for 3, right? Did they have him for 2 or 3?
In Connect at Tennessee, Dalton Connect was at Northern Colorado.
Right.
JUCO before that.
Okay, so, but these guys, I mean, now I've watched Fiddler on tape a lot. He would fit very well at Nebraska. He's a scorer. He's interesting. Guys like Fiddler are always interesting to me because he's a kind of a below the rim player, but he averaged 20 a game. He's got a wide array of shots, though. I mean, he's all 3 levels. He gets to the rim pretty well, good mid range, and can shoot the 3. I haven't seen a lot of Kyle, but Fiddler, man, I think he could come in and get 14 points a game. I mean, I do. Rob, he averaged 20.
In the Summit.
I know, but I think he can get you 14 in the right role. How about 10? I can sell you 10.
Maybe.
10.
It's amazing that early 2020s era of Nebraska high school basketball. I think we're going to look back at it,
Golden era.
the 30s and the 40s. There was an era.
Name them.
Well, you have Chucky Hepburn, Hunter Salas,
Fiddler,
Terrell Wrightsell Jr.
Latrell Wrightsell.
When you go down
William
the list
Kyle,
of guys,
St. Thomas,
South Dakota State guy, the guy that's at Creighton,
Baylor Shireman,
I mean, you go down the list of players that came through the state.
Green,
Jason Green, Isaac Trout.
Well, Trout
good.
wasn't even a factor really at Creighton.
No, he did. He wasn't, but that's a good group you just named. You guys just named.
I mean, back in the 80s, there was that era in Nebraska where
when they had Jackman and Hoppin and Kellogg and Trotter.
I mean, like the World Herald will still write articles about that era of players. And I think this group now will be doing the same thing years later.
Kerry Trotter, Vic Lazzaretti, that group of guys, that was incredible. It was incredible.
All right, next question.
Next one. What are your thoughts on Doug Ewald's departure?
When athletic director moves happen, generally the people that are in the higher up roles that particularly came in with the AD don't stick around. I mean, we saw it with when Trev Alberts came. Garrett Classy was not renewed, but he was forced to actually finish out his contract. And they demoted him, and then he eventually, when his contract was done, left to go to Houston. So it's not really uncommon, but I would say it moved really quickly with Doug Ewald.
Yeah.
Leaving Nebraska, where, I mean, he made it about a week into the Dan era.
Yeah, he's an accountant, so I don't have a lot of profound thoughts. I mean,
But he was the number 2 to Alberts.
Yeah, he was. So,
And he's got a big name with his time in Omaha with the Med Center and Union Pacific Railroad and the positions he's held. But yeah, he did the interviews obviously with the Doc Talk podcast, and then there was a front page story on the World Herald on 1A of the overall front page.
I really believe that this might be the only market in America where we're having this conversation.
You're right.
Yeah, the only market in America where we're talking about the accountant. I mean,
how many markets in America would have him on prominently on a podcast?
Exactly. None. 0. 1, actually, Nebraska.
So yeah, it's an interesting. Well, yeah, and Doug, he was a great guy. Did a lot. I mean, but
great guy. I'm not saying he's not.
When changes happen, though, things like this happen. Yeah. I mean, it's just part. I mean, we've seen a lot of it, unfortunately, here in the last 20 years.
Right.
All right. Next question.
Will the single-digit jersey guys keep their numbers, or are they going to revote?
Ooh, I think those guys get to keep them.
Yeah. Well, Evan Cooper said that Gifford was a single-digit guy. They haven't announced him yet, but they're still referring to him as a single-digit guy. Yeah. So I think there's probably just no-brainers like that inherit it, I would imagine.
Yeah, hey, man, if you take it away.
I know.
Oof.
So who's gone? Jeff Sims, Reimer, and
Piper.
Heinrich. And Piper. Well, Piper didn't wear one.
Yeah, but he was one of the guys.
So there were technically 11 then, right?
That's a really good question.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
no, 10. No, yeah, 11.
Because Piper didn't count for
right, because it was 0.
So there's 10 that had them.
0 to 9 plus Piper.
There's really only 3 that have opened up. I already see kind of a number conflict right now. Malachi Coleman and Dylan Raiola both are 15.
Yeah, that's a conflict.
That's good. I mean,
I think one way to resolve it is Raiola could or Malachi could demand a sum of money that Raiola could probably come up with. Keep it right.
Or bribe him.
Well, I mean Raiola, if he wins the job, he could win a single-digit jersey.
Yep.
I mean, that's not out of the question.
No, not out of the question.
I will say, I would think, I'm just going to guess that Jamal Banks is a single-digit guy. That's done.
I think so. He's 180 right now.
He will win a single-digit jersey.
Okay.
I believe that based on what we heard on the winter.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised either. And I think Dylan Raiola could be heading that direction too. I think he's heading in the direction as the starter.
Okay, so guys that are gone: Billy Kemp, Nick Henrich, Luke Reimer, Quentin Newsom, Jeff Sims, and then Piper.
So there's 5 to hand out right now still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7.
Correct.
We'll see. It's a good question. Really good question.
Yeah, and that will play out over the course of the year. But yeah, there's 5 more to give out.
When did they announce them in August last year?
They did them in like bunches.
On social media.
In August though, right?
Yes.
Generally
I
speaking.
think the last one was the end of August.
Yeah. So if I were a head coach, I would wait till camp.
Yeah, I think that's how they did it. Like after the first week of camp, they did the first grouping, like the first 4 or 5 guys. And then
because you find out your tough guys in August a lot of the time.
Irvin will have a shot at one. If he comes
Absolutely.
back, Ramiro will have a shot at one.
Yep.
Lots of guys there. Tommy Hill doesn't have one, does
he?
No.
That's a
He's
guy.
31.
All right, next question.
Okay. What are your thoughts on both of the Final Four national championship games?
Oh, they're
Or
similar
basketball?
to me. They're similar to me. South Carolina and UConn are
Teams.
They remind me of each other in that they got bigs and weapons. Several weapons. It was incredible to me to watch South Carolina and UConn, how many ways they can beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And they both got
And
bigs.
they wore down Edie and Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
What jumped out to me was how both of those games, Iowa and Purdue, just came out sprinting from the opening tip. Zach Edey was possessed. Caitlin Clark was unreal.
18 in the
first quarter. And they just were like doing like their like quintessential things that Purdue and Iowa do. And what did South Carolina and UConn do? They didn't flinch.
Nope.
I mean, they were panning to Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley looked like she was just watching practice because they weren't phased at all because they knew they were better.
They know what they
and
got.
they wore them down.
They are
the talent
so good.
and the depth prevailed.
If you look at the box score of Purdue, they got 37 from Edey and 15 rebounds, and they got virtually nothing from anybody else except Braden
that was the
Smith.
design.
1 of 7 on threes. Purdue.
1 of 7. Braden Smith had 12 points, but he was 4 of 12.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had 3 guys scoring single digits, and that's it. They were outmanned bad. Fletcher
Lawyer
didn't score. outman. He's not the dude in that game.
No.
UConn's too good for a guy like Fletcher. Lloyd.
UConn's too deep across the board. I mean, they're
Pretty much
loaded.
Oh, they're loaded.
I'll be
They're
fast.
breathtaking.
Caitlin Clark in the WNBA will be. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if Caitlin Clark's WNBA games are on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, here's the thing about that game, though. She had 18 in the first quarter. Then they put, I think her name is Raven Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep.
They put Raven Johnson
Yes.
on her, shut down.
She'll have
time.
better teammates around her in the WNBA though, like people that will finish
For
Like,
sure.
She's led the nation in assist.
When does the Indiana Fever play Diana Taurasi's team? That's what we need to figure out.
They're already advertising it. They're like
There you go.
the goat
Yes.
versus the rookie, and
Let's
then they
go.
don't put Caitlin's face on it, but they put her jersey number
Hey.
22.
Oh,
The
really?
anger of
So,
some
yeah.
of these WNBA
Yeah.
players is crazy.
It's not going to work in my league. Well, we'll see.
Well,
We'll
Caitlin
find
Clark's
out.
league, she's going to make you a lot more money.
Yep. Start guarding at half court.
They fly commercial for WNBA games.
Do they really?
Yes, they only make 70 grand a
we
player.
we could see them in an airport. We probably have.
I've seen G League teams in the airport.
Have you?
Mhm.
But all right, final question. We're getting off the track here. Last question.
If you could have any restaurant exist in your home, what would it be?
Go ahead, guys. You won't pick mine.
I mean, I hesitate. I would probably go with like a versatile, high-end steakhouse type place that has a lunch menu as
Okay.
well. Like,
Then what are you talking about?
food. I'm just so many good steakhouses to choose from, but I'd go with like a Manny's or a Murray's, like one of those Minneapolis ones, because they actually have breakfast, they have lunch,
Really?
and they have dinner.
Do they really have
So
breakfast?
you're covered. You got everything. So I would go with one of those places because they have great salads. Not that we're going to probably go with that too often, but
Sometimes you need it. You can't have a steak every
they have a
meal.
breakfast menu, a sandwich menu, and steaks and seafood. So I'm going to go with like one of the Minneapolis steakhouses. I'll just say Manny's.
I could eat a burrito every day. So I would go, I don't know if my body could handle a Chipotle every day, but some sort of burrito place. There's a
you gotta name one.
Freebirds
Okay.
down in Texas. Phenomenal.
Remember
And they do the
Jacksonville we found?
yes. Like I'd want one that is, like you said, a little more eclectic with the menu, that does a breakfast burrito, offers like fish, that sort of thing, so I can mix it up. It's some sort of relatively quick
Simple
burrito
steak.
oriented
Don't say Applebee's.
restaurant.
No, I'm not.
Freebirds.
Outback.
You guys did good on that.
Outback.
Yeah,
Outback.
I'd keep it simple at Outback. I would.
Simple and I went to Outback in Kansas City on our way to Hawaii.
It's never bad.
And
Know what you're gonna get.
their pipes froze though. Remember?
We did. We had to leave.
It was like that week where it was like,
It's never bad.
and like the manager's like, we don't mean to like cut you guys off
The
here,
restaurant
but
shut down.
we have no water. You need to leave. Like, perfect. Going to bed.
Gentlemen, you guys are in danger. You
We
need
pretty
to leave.
much we finished.
We're done.
Yeah. In Outback, I've never had a bad meal at Outback, and I've had, I don't know, roughly 900.
He gets the small. He
Oh
gets
my
the small sirloin.
Yeah, I get the small sirloin every time. It's good. Perfect.
At Misty's, they call that the SOB, the sweet old Bob.
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
Yeah. So I'd go Outback, and you can do
Outback.
lunch at Outback, and you can get salmon at Outback. And
Or
there's
breakfast.
I don't need. I mean, I'm not. That's not. a
I'm
priority.
sure they could make an egg.
Abby, do you have a call?
Come on, Abby.
Chipotle is an interesting one, but I might have to go. I'm obviously not as fancy as Sean, but I think I might pick Chick-fil-A because they have
Okay.
great breakfast, and
Strong.
you can get like chicken nuggets, chicken strip sandwiches. They have like the best salads on earth. I could eat one of their salads
Do
like
they really?
every day.
Do
They're
they?
so good.
Really?
Everything it's fresh every day. So
I just went into
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. You can't beat Chick-fil-A. It's good.
mhm.
Good soup
Yep.
too.
Except on Sundays.
Yes, they have great soup.
Even
Yeah.
at Falcons games, they don't serve Chick-fil-A.
I'll just starve on
inside the
Sunday.
arena.
It's ridiculous.
That's a good call. So you're recommending their salad?
Yes, I'd recommend it to anybody. They got all kinds.
They got various kinds.
Yeah, they have a Cobb salad and a spicy Southwest, which is my favorite.
Okay.
And then like a market salad that has like fruit on it
Ooh.
stuff.
okay.
So they're great. And the wraps are good too.
I've never known you, Sip, to go to Chick-fil-A. Have you been there before?
Yes, I've been there. And I but not very often, and usually for somebody else.
I was
Going
going to
for
say
somebody
I've never. if you want to like find Steve Sipple at about 8:30 in the morning, it's usually at McDonald's on 56th and
No.
or 27th and Vine.
27th and Vine, whipping through and getting coffee.
Large black coffee, 2
Yeah.
Splendas.
Poor
I've been on
Splendas.
that phone call with you about 100 times.
A lot of people have. They note it too. How many times a day do you go there? Yeah, well, 2 or 3 for
I
sure.
have a large black coffee, 2 Splendas. Please pull ahead. I mean, I've got.
What's
I think
going
my
on, Rob?
daughters know that. Even.
He doesn't even need to order anymore. His truck pulls up. Usual, Mr. Sipple. You got it, Beth.
There, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's gotten bad enough at that McDonald's where if I say 4 Splendas, the person will say, "Oh, 4 today."
Ooh.
Yeah.
You okay?
You must be a little low.
Yeah.